In today's video, I want to take a look at the dollar. We keep hearing the perma bulls predict that the dollar is going to rise and the euro is going to collapse, and it's just not happening. Um, you can see the dollar has broken down. This is clearly a daily cycle low, and you can see the dollar has broken down below this, so it is now forming a pattern of lower highs and lower lows. That's an indication that the intermediate cycle has topped, and you can see this cycle topped very quickly, only on week 2, I guess. So this would be categorized as an extremely left translated cycle. That is a very bearish pattern. It should lead to a break of this low. Left translated cycles usually break below the low of the cycle of same degree. So this is an intermediate cycle low. The intermediate cycle is left translating, extremely left translating. That indicates that we should get a break below this intermediate cycle low. I've also noted before that during the declining phase of an intermediate cycle, and this applies to all assets, not just the currencies, but RSI will tend to get deeply oversold and then embed in the oversold condition. Any rallies tend to fail quickly once RSI gets overbought. So we are getting extremely oversold here, and at some point we're going to get some kind of a rebound rally, but it should fail very quickly if price or if the RSI can get back up here to overbought. The odds are that it will not be able to embed in the overbought condition, and then price will roll over and make another leg lower. So we're kind of starting to see that pattern form already. You can see none of these rallies were able to push the RSI into overbought conditions. They weren't able to hold overbought conditions before rolling over again. And I've said this before, the currencies are the most heavily manipulated markets on the planet. The ECB would like to keep the euro weak against the dollar, but at this point, I doubt that the ECB is going to be able to rescue the dollar by artificially suppressing the euro. I think this is probably unrecoverable at this time. And let me move out to the larger picture. All right, so this was our last 3-year cycle low. I'm pretty sure this is a final 3-year cycle top. The currency manipulation has kept this going much longer than it would have naturally. So I think we're going to have some kind of major crash in the dollar. It's just been propped up far longer than it would have lasted naturally. So this usually results in some kind of a crash event. We saw that happen in the stock market. All the QE that the Fed was doing to support the repo markets just ended up pushing stocks much higher than they should have gone naturally, and then we end up with a crash. Same thing's probably going to happen here in the dollar. We should end up with some kind of crash. And then the 3-year cycle low is not going to be due until 2021. So we should see the dollar making lower intermediate lows and lower intermediate highs from now until we get that final 3-year cycle low, presumably sometime in early to mid 2021. And this should be beneficial for gold. I don't know. It's going to be very tough for the banking cartel to keep gold suppressed as the dollar collapses and moves down into that major 3-year cycle low over the next oh 8 months to a year, I would guess. And so moving on to gold, the banks will try to keep this. Um, they're going to continue to try and defend 1750, but with the dollar in collapse and probably still having another 8 to 10 weeks to go before a final bottom, I don't think they're going to be able to keep gold contained very much longer. And I do anticipate that eventually gold will break out of this triangle pattern, and the move will be to the upside. And if this is a midpoint consolidation, then you would expect a move roughly similar in magnitude as the initial move, which was from, let's just call it 1450 to almost 1800, so about 350 points. So when we break out of this, you would expect a rally of somewhere between 300 and 350 points, which could take gold above 2,000. But we have to finish this consolidation. We have to frustrate enough people, get them to throw in the towel. I'm starting to see it. People are getting frustrated. They're giving up. They're seeing comments that people will never trade metals again. The typical stuff we always see right before rallies begin. So we may have another few days or another week or so of this sideways churn, but I'm pretty confident that ultimately, with the dollar in collapse and still many weeks before a final intermediate bottom, that gold is ultimately going to break higher out of this consolidation that has been locked in for the last almost 2 months.